What's going on, everyone? I had to post a video today about some new spoilers because this is probably my favorite card I have seen so far, and I cannot wait to dive into playing this card as soon as I possibly can once it's all coded and ready to go. Let's dive right into a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon, guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's dive straight into it, okay? Boom! Well, actually, we are gonna start with a couple of other cards before we get into the best card. Baited. All right, Lone Shark here. We got a 4-cost ground unit in Cunning 2/5 official. It's got ambush, it's got raid 1. Honestly, not too bad. A 3/5 essentially ambusher on 4 resources is enough in some circumstances to actually finish off units. I'll say though, we are starting to get more and more 4 toughness turn 1 plays. So, if their turn 1 play lives to the point where you can ambush it for 4 resources, is Lone Shark going to kill it? It depends. It does depend. The 2 power is relevant for another card here that we'll just about to talk about. It is an official, which is relevant for certain other decks. I like ambush. Generally, I do think 3 power is a little bit low. So I'm not like super high on this card. I think it's on the weaker end, but I am always open to seeing what people can come up with the ambush effect. We saw the Jedi Temple guards, the 4 resource 2/4 with ambush and restore 2 be pretty bad. So I am curious to see if Lone Shark is going to be on that level. Now, obviously a deck that I think could, potentially run this is like Boba Fett, the set 2/1. Not that that's a great deck, but that could be a 4/5 ambusher essentially, which is actually pretty good. Better than like 4-LOM, and I can actually, trade and live, which is pretty nice. So Lone Shark, I think, is okay. But next up, probably one of my favorite cards I've seen in a long time, alongside the other card that we're going to talk about, which is Academy Disciplinarian. It's a 3-cost ground unit in aggression. It is a 3/4, so 3 resource, 3/4. Not great, but not bad. 3 or 4, can be played if it has a relevant ability, and this certainly does. When this guy is played, you may deal 1 damage to a friendly unit with 2 or less power and ready it. That's pretty sweet. So the idea here is you can ready a lot of different units on turn 2, right? On turn 1, you play something, anything really, with 2 power or less. Think about like Pride, for example, Legion General Pride, which is pretty common. You attack, you get the trigger, you play Academy Discipliner, you ready them again. They've probably taken initiative, so you attack again. Not that Pride is like particularly good at this because they'll get the initiative after, but there are so many other 2 power units. And remember, this isn't just limited to turn 2. Think about it like on turn 3, for example, where you play like Grand Inquisitor, or not Grand Inquisitor, but like Fifth Brother on turn 2, right? A 2/4 with raid 1 for every damage. You can deal a damage to himself and kind of stack up that damage on him. Let's say, turn 3 comes around, you attack with the Fifth Brother, you put a damage on Fifth Brother, you deal 1 damage to something else, and now it's got 1 damage on it. And now you play the Academy Disciplinarian, and you put another damage on Fifth Brother, which readies him, and then you can attack again, which means he's attacking for a total of, raid 1 for every damage, right? 5 damage on or 5 attack on the Fifth Brother, which is incredible. And you've managed to deal a total of 2 damage to an opponent's unit, which is pretty powerful. So I think this is a really, really interesting card. Again, you can just curve out on this, turn 1, play a unit, attack, turn 2, play this, ready it, attack again. It would be really, really cool if this could ready itself like it was a 2/4. I think that would be even more interesting. A 2/4 immediately readied up isn't that powerful, but it gives you that versatility. 3/4 does have a better body, which is always good. Obviously, it's an official, so it does work with all the different official units that we are seeing. And most importantly, I think the idea behind this is it's going to work with a card that, again, is my favorite card so far, Dryden Vos. Guys, this is an incredible looking card. Not necessarily like baseline super powerful, but has the potential to be one of the most powerful cards in your deck. 4-cost ground unit in aggression villainy. It's a 2/5 underworld, so it works with Cad Bane. And on attack, you may double this unit's power for this attack. If you do, it does not ready during the next regroup phase. So at initial glance, you're like, oh, okay, it's a 4 resource 2/5. That's pretty horrible. Yeah, and I would agree with you. A 4 resource 2/5 is a bad stat line. I mean, we have 3 resource like 3/5 on the regular that is just better than it's 1 resource cheaper, right? So 2/5 is an atrocious stat line. However, you can attack and it become a 4/5. Okay, that's not bad. 4/5 is pretty average, so reasonable stat line, but you don't get to ready it next turn. Okay, that's a pretty big downside, right? The reason I'm excited for Dryden Vos is because of the kind of more on the line of combo potential this has. Think of this, and you put a surprise strike on this. So you attack, you get +3, it's 5 power, you double it, boom. Now surprise strike hits for massive chunks, right? Remember, let's say you are in a situation where you had a 4/5 already. The difference between a 4/5 attacking with a surprise strike is 7 power, but Dryden Vos attacking with a surprise strike is 10 power. That is a 3 damage differential, which is incredible. And that's just a surprise strike, right? Hot Shot Blaster coming in 8 damage with Dryden Vos, which is incredible. Or one of the combos that I personally found to be really, really exciting in this is a 20 damage combo where you do have to wait for the next turn for him to ready up. You're in double aggression. You go twice the pride, deal 2 damage. You get +4 power, Grim Resolve. After you, well, there's kind of a combo to this. You play Dryden Vos in Grand Inquisitor. You use the Grand Inquisitor ability to ready up Dryden Vos immediately, right? And you can attack for 2. Maybe you can attack for 4 if you're really feeling spicy. Then next turn, if you didn't double the power, you can play the twice the pride, which is going to give the +4 power. Then Grim Resolve, which is going to give plus another 4 power because of the grit. And that is a double up for 20 damage in a single attack. But if you went with, okay, I'm going to, deal 2 to ready up Dryden, immediately attack for 4. Then next turn, you can ready up Dryden again and then Grim Resolve for, well, guess what? 12 damage. That's insane. That is an incredible amount of damage. So there's like a bunch of cool things you can do. Do I think that this is going to be like an absurdly disgusting meta defining card? No, I don't think that at all. But what I do think it's a very, very fun build around and a very, very fun card to play around with, especially with it harken back to Grand Inquisitor from set 1, which I am always excited to play around with. So definitely my favorite card so far, just because of the fun explosive potential. I've seen some people talking about like double aggression Kylo Ren, where you go ahead and you basically put some sort of upgrade on Dryden, like twice the pride, give it an extra bump with Kylo's action, and double it up from there, right? Because Kylo can give that +2/+0 baseline. Obviously, if you load this thing up with upgrades, you could potentially one-shot someone. For example, let's say you do have Dryden Vos out, and then next turn, you've got the 5 resources. Go like Battle Fury, Sith Holocron, double Battle Fury, 6 power. Sith Holocron could just be another 3 power, so that's 9 power. That's, well, 11 power on Dryden Vos. That is an attack for 22. So you could do some crazy things with this guy by doubling up the power and definitely get in some of those one shots that I think are really, really awesome. So very, very cool card. The only thing that would make this, I think, truly disgusting for true combo potential is if this doubled the unit's power for the phase. It's important to remember that this is not for the phase. It is simply for the attack. So you cannot just, double it up like Grand Inquisitor, attack in for 4, ready it up with some sort of readying ability, attack in for 8, ready it up, attack in for 16. That's not how this works. It is every attack gets a bump up and for that attack. Upgrades obviously work great with it. Surprise strike, things like that. Hot Shot Blaster work great. I could definitely see more of a cunning aggression list. I'm thinking like Grand Inquisitor cunning is kind of the way to go. I was looking into maybe like Gar Saxon Red, which could be fun, where you can put an upgrade on it and get some extra power. I mean, there's all sorts of really cool stuff you can do with Dryden Vos. And honestly, 5 toughness on a 4 cost unit is decently likely to survive. Obviously, if you're fighting control matchup, it's just going to die no matter what. But it does dodge things like open fire, which is kind of cool. And some of the earlier plays that people will be making. This card is by far my favorite addition so far in Star Wars Unlimited Set 6. So just a really fun one. Honestly, just a really fun one. But that's not all we have. The next one is 1 in a million, and this truly is a 1 in a million opportunity. My goal this set is to try to get this off at least a single time. It is a 1-cost event in Vigilance Heroism. This card can't be played from your hand, so you only can play it with plot. And it says defeat a unit with power and remaining HP both equal to the number of ready resources you control. So let's think about this. We have 4, 5, and 6 deploy leaders. We have 7 and 8s as well, but normally 4, 5, and 6 are what the regular occurrences are. So if, let's say, you deploy your leader on 4 resources, you have 3 resources left over, you play, because you play with 1 in a million, with that, you can defeat a 3-3. Exactly a 3-3. If you have a 5 to deploy leader, you can defeat a 4-4. Exactly. If you have a 6 to deploy leader, you can defeat a 5-5. Exactly. If you have a 7 to deploy leader, you can defeat a 6-6. Exactly. Remember, this is exactly what it has to have. Honestly, the 6-6 and 5, maybe the 4-4 and 6-6 are the most relevant, because Podarman and K2SO, things like that are relevant. So if you have a 5 to deploy leader, I could see this potentially getting used. I mean, it is kind of funny because it's one of those cards where Star Wars Limited does reinforce this idea where you can play a lot of these random, very, very, very niche situational cards in your deck because of the usage of your resources, and how when you draw cards, you can resource, any card in your hand. And that is something that maybe allows you to play like a 1 of or 2 of 1 in a million, where you just drop it onto your resource pile every single time you see it, obviously, because you can't play it from your hand. And then in those random situations, you kill off a Ki-Adi-Mundi, or you kill off a K2SO. Honestly, the 5 to deploy leaders, I think, are the most relevant. Now you can manipulate this, I suppose, to where you can play, let's say you have a 5 to deploy leader and you play a 2 resource play beforehand. Now you can defeat a 2-2 on the opposing side of the battlefield when you deploy your leader with 1 in a million, like a Secretive Sage or a Director Krennic. So there are some cool things you can do with this. I don't think it's very good, but I mean, I could see some people experimenting with a 1 or 2 of in their decks, just because, if you do get this off, it is incredibly powerful. Next up, we've got Defense Fleet X-Wing. This one's not really all that exciting. It's a 3-cost space unit, 1/4 Sentinel. To me, this is just straight up worse Concordon Interceptors. Obviously, it does not have the heroism tag, but in general, this card I do not see being played really at all. I mean, unless you're really clamoring for some Sentinels, but to be honest, I mean, in Villainy, you have a lot of different options on the 3 resource spot. Now, they are less toughness. The 4th point of toughness may be relevant in certain decks. The kind of idea I see here is, maybe you can run this in Leia and get, an extra experience token, or Rey, and you can get an extra experience token for being a 1/4. But, if I'm playing Rey, I'm playing Concordon Interceptors over the Defense Fleet X-Wing. And if I'm playing Leia, I'm playing Concordon Interceptors over the Defense Fleet X-Wing. This is just more of a common draft. Maybe I play it, maybe I don't. It is a semi-playable space unit for the draft format. But we also have Covert Operative. This is a 4-cost ground unit in Heroism. It's a 2/4 Rebel. And when you play this card, you get to capture an enemy non-leader unit that costs 2 or less. Honestly, this is the type of card that I am always very, very interested in when it comes to aggressive decks. This type of effect where you play a unit to the board, it matches the traits that you have, and it affects your opponent's board, is always very intriguing to me. Because one of the biggest things with these more aggressive decks, think Sabine, or think even Quinlan, you want to be deploying to the board, putting pressure on your opponent, but also at the same time disrupting your opponent. It's one of the reasons why Quinlan had worked so well. You have things like Ahsoka, Akira, you have things like Tarkentown, and just playing your units disrupt your opponent. This is on that same line. I do think that when you're playing a 4-drop, you're not going to have all that many 2-cost units to capture in the first place. I don't think that when played is going to be all that great. And it is a 2/4 for 4, which is on the weaker end. I don't see this being all that powerful, but I do think the effect of it is interesting. It is very, very interesting. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below, guys. Honestly, all of this video was really just for, honestly, Academy Disciplinarian and Dryden Vos. That was the other thing that I wanted to mention, was like, you could do some crazy things where you can Dryden Vos, attack in for 4, Academy Disciplinarian, ready up the Dryden Vos, and do some cool things with that. Obviously, these are cards that I'm going to be 100% playing in Grand Inquisitor. Can you imagine where you go like turn, let's say you go like turn 2, Fifth Brother, and turn 3 you play Dryden Vos, and then turn 4 you get to ready both those, by the way. Turn 4 you get to go some sort of combination of Academy Disciplinarian plus Grim Resolve, like you ready up Dryden Vos maybe with Grand Inquisitor, and then you get to get a double attack, right? And then you ready him up again with Academy Disciplinarian, then you go ahead and go Grim Resolve, double the power. I mean, you could do some crazy things, and that's what's so exciting about it. And then you have, well, some other draft cards. 1 in a million. Are you going to get the 1 in a million chance? Are you going to be able to do some cool things with Covert Operative? Let me know in the comment section down below. But Dryden Vos, guys, is so sick. I am so excited to play with this card, and hopefully we can pull off some amazing strategies, amazing combos with that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.